Welcome to the Predictive PlayBook. This is Thursday, May 27th, 2021, and I'm your host, John Rayn, and we're going to have a full house in here today with as many as 7 professional sports handicappers that are not just professional sports handicappers. These guys, most of them are legends, have done it for more than 25 years and know what the hell they're doing, and it's a great place to come and listen to the end of the day show because they do a ton of research. They talk to everybody, and you get to share in their research and what they tell you just by coming here. So, I mean, what could be better? We're going to have Jimmy Adams, who is hotter than, what is that cat on a tin roof thing? I mean, he's been hot for, it seems like the whole year. So he'll be joining us. He's a great, smart, young mind compared to myself and Mr. Vino here, my buddy. But it's great to talk to the young guys too because they're dedicated and committed to being on Sports Memo and Wager Talk. And it's just an awesome family of guys and staff. You can't say enough about them. So welcome to the show, Rob. How's your day going?
We're going good, John. Nice outside today. When we last talked, like we were saying off air here, it was getting a little dark and thunderish and lightningish where we're located at here in mid-Atlantic. But it did pass through quickly, unlike some of the other places here in the Northeast, right? The Yankees got canceled last night.
Yeah.
The Mets got canceled. Boston had a long rain delay before they got going again. So I think all those places had it worse than we did, but it just hit us at the right time, right when we were on last night with Tony.
Great.
So good today, though. A little bit temperatures picking up here. It's crazy here in the East Coast. I've lived here the majority of my life, but we complain recent years of too cold. And then, when I was a kid, we used to get the spring and the fall, John, and now it seems like they just flip a switch and we go from winter to summer in one instance. Your grass goes from green to brown. It's a little bit crazy. I'd like a little of that in between 70 degrees, 75 degrees stuff for a while before we get to 90.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's been in the pollen. Like I have never had allergies in my life, and this past week must be dreadful for the people who do have them. Because I've never seen. I think you said like you went outside and had to wash your car off because it was yellow.
Yeah, and our outdoor gas grill, the propane grill, was absolutely covered in yellow. I mean, it's a black grill, and it was not black anymore. It was yellow. You got to scour that stuff off, or So hopefully that passes through too. A little bit of rain will knock that to the ground, and we're going to see some this weekend, I guess. Memorial Day weekend, we're going to see some rain here Friday, Saturday. But Memorial Day Monday is supposed to be pretty clear. But it doesn't, what it's doing outside, unless we bet on a particular game where the weather's bad, it doesn't really affect what we're doing here during the day. John, just work. And I was informed today that it's 98 days until kickoff for college football.
Oh, that's awesome, isn't it?
Here we
Under
go.
100.
Here we go.
Yep.
We're going to be starting for those.
Goosebumps just thinking about it. Full stadiums.
It's crazy. For those watching real quick, we're just figuring out a date now, but myself and Sports Memo's Drew Martin, we're going to be resuming our second season of what we call the Best Damn College Football Show. We're going to take a look at season win totals briefly for the season opener. That's going to happen sometime after the holidays, so keep an eye out for that as we start to cover college football here. It's a weekly show, run right up until opening day or opening night, whatever it may be this year, and then it runs right through the season. So I'm just excited. College football is probably my favorite sport of all to handicap and then to watch. So it's always good to have that feeling of CFB around the corner.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. If you ever need a guest, you know who to call.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But real quick, I interviewed Paul Carr today from True Media. And he used to work at ESPN, still provides content for them, and he's a soccer guru. So I had him on the show for the UEFA Championship final between Man City and Chelsea. Man City is getting up there around minus 300 at some places, minus 280 at most others. And there is some value in taking Chelsea at plus 225, 220, as he outlined. So there's a lean. I guess for my purposes, I'm probably going to put like a 3%er on Chelsea. But the big bet is under 2.5 goals. And if you look at the history between these teams, they haven't played in 5 weeks, Rob, but they've played each other. They haven't played a UEFA event in 5 weeks since the semifinals, but they have so many other leagues going on that they actually have played each other within the last 5 weeks. So it's a very different way to follow sports with all the different leagues that they have. But it looks to be a game where they'll play, as he calls it, cagey in the soccer world. They call it cagey, meaning that they're not going to take any aggressive approach, and they're going to just wait it out until somebody does make a mistake and try to exploit it. So it could be a 1-0 game. He made some bets, recommendations for just regular 90-minute session, so that the overtime minutes that are awarded are not impacting the final result of that bet. But it should be fun to watch. It comes on at 3 o'clock on Saturday, and I'm planning on watching it just because he's got me. It's like Marco getting me hooked on horse racing now. I can't wait for the Belmont, and the same way with this soccer event. So it's amazing what you can be learning from people when you just open up your mind just a little bit, and you can have a lot of fun with stuff that you didn't even know was fun.
No, absolutely. What you just relayed there from Paul Carr sounds a lot like what we got from Nick Borman yesterday, right? Nick actually said probably lean under. He had been going back and forth, Chelsea, Man City, but he thought it would be low scoring. So two pretty good soccer minds there. For those watching, maybe they seem to link up on under 2.5. And to your point, World Cup soccer, again, for me, it's like the Triple Crown. Like, I can't watch horse racing despite the fact that I really enjoy it. When World Cup comes around, I'll watch and I'll bet like crazy. And Nick was mentioning the other event that happens every off-4 year. I forget the name of the event that's coming up this summer. But again, all the countries in Europe participating for a championship, and I'm sure I'll be there watching and betting, but I just can't. The daily grind of soccer, again, to me, it's like I've told you more than once about horse racing. I got give a lot of credit to those guys who, add that to their handicapping repertoire. To me, NBA, college basketball, Major League Baseball, college football, NFL football, that's a full plate. Never mind throwing horse racing and soccer on top of it, or NHL on top of it. Because nowadays it seems like everything overlaps so much. As soon as you're out of one thing, you're already 4 weeks into another season. So preparation time, which I think used to exist a little bit, is hard. It doesn't really. There's no little window of opportunity to prep. You have to prep while other stuff is going on. Much like what I was just saying about our college football show. We prep as Major League Baseball and the NBA playoffs are going on. But that soccer event should be interesting.
And real quick here in the PGA event at Colonial in Fort Worth, Texas, I guess technically Dallas-Fort Worth, Hogan's Alley is getting some of the players. And not surprisingly, as Nick told us yesterday, that you don't go after the major champion. David Behrman of ESPN said the same thing on that show that aired on Tuesday. And he shot 3 over, and he's in 97th position right now. So he's got some work ahead of him. I also noticed that Brandon Grace, who was a contender last week at the PGA Championship at Kiowa, shot a 76 and withdrew. And I'm guessing it's probably fatigue. I'm gotta think that Kiowa course takes so much out of you, even as an amateur. I'm speaking for myself that. I like those feelings, when you know that you've, racked your mind on every single shot and which one to hit and where to hit it and everything else. And the challenges of it, it's fun. But I can't imagine playing it 4 days in a row like they did. And especially Phil at the age of 50, 73 today is probably a great score. But Jordan Spieth was born and raised, played Texas golf all his life, went to the University of Texas. I believe. I know his dream was to be the safety on the defense of the Texas Longhorns. So I think he picked the right sport. But he shot 7 under 63 today, which is outstanding. And then Adam Hadwin, a Canadian, shot -4. And then there's the rest of them. But there's a lot of names on the leaderboard at the top that did not play last week, and that makes complete sense to me. So we'll have to see if Phil makes the cut. And I did see something pretty funny. Brooks Koepka, he tweeted something about the announcement where Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson are a team, and they're going to play better ball partners against Bryson DeChambeau and Aaron Rodgers. So Brooks sent a tweet to Aaron Rodgers saying, too bad. Sorry, man, because he got hooked up with DeChambeau. So
we had a little back and forth between Brady and Rodgers too, right, on Twitter, because I think Brady warned DeChambeau that you better think about laying up because Rodgers isn't going to go for anything. And of course, Rodgers had a little reply for that as well. So I think they're starting the poking of the bear early in that one. That tournament, John, I don't want to veer us too much off track here, but I heard it's in Montana now. Is that course a course that the PGA Tour sees every year, or is that just a different course in Montana?
That's a different course in Montana. And I'm sure it plays at altitude, I would think. I'll have to research it. But it's probably one of those just gorgeous views, I'm guessing, being in Montana. It'll be a tremendous event. I mean, it's must-watch television.
Right.
You got to see if Rodgers throws a club or if DeChambeau breaks his putter. There might be a little bit of money involved too, I guess.
I'd imagine so.
But with Phil winning it, I mean, the ratings are gonna be through the roof. Super Bowl champion 7 times. Phil Mickelson, major winner at the age of 50.
The star power's there. The star power for sure is there.
And then people will watch DeChambeau just to see how far he can hit it. And then they'll watch how many times Rodgers lays up and doesn't go for it. There'll probably be an over-under for that.
And every reporter there will ask Rodgers, are you going to play for Green Bay this year or not? If it hasn't been decided.
I know.
So he'll have to answer some questions that aren't golf-related.
Yeah, for real. Well, let's move on to Joe D'Amico here. Let's bring him on.
Oh!
No, wait, I brought the wrong guy on. That's not Joe. Let me get the right guy on.
Whoa.
That's me, buddy.
It is. Look at this.
It's me. I am dressed in my NBA garb tonight. I'm excited about what's going on. I'm donning my throwback Patrick Ewing jersey. And Rob, just to answer your question,
yes.
When I wear this jersey, I add an extra 3 inches to my vertical.
Wonderful. I'll tell you what, that'll get you picked in Rucker Park.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. How you doing there, John?
I'm doing great, Joe. How about you?
He didn't recognize me when he turned the camera on me. Look at that.
I'm still stunned.
Well, you got to change it up. I want to give our viewers something, a little variety, I can't always come on at your request with a Speedo. I just can't do that. I want to make sure I'm always, I want to give our people a little variety. I'm not always in a suit and tie. I'm not always in the polos. And today, I got to be honest, man, I am Vegas. Vegas is my home. 31 years, 96 degrees today. It is gorgeous. I heard, and I was listening to your to what you guys were talking about a little while ago, talking about the pollen and the issues back east. Mm-hmm. We went through that here in Vegas, about a month ago. And what was funny is, Rob, I just got 3 brand new grills. You mentioned about your grill, and it was covered in yellow pollen. I had 3 brand new Weber grills in the back, 3 brand new ones across the wall. They were covered in yellow, in that yellow soot, that pollen. Mm-hmm. But we've gotten past that. We're past the humidity. We get a little bit of humidity here in Vegas. But now it's 95 and smooth sailing. Guys, I'm going to tell you now, 91 in the morning. When you wake up in the morning and you walk outside to get your newspaper, it's usually here by about 3 a.m. and it's like 88 degrees. That's nice. Another month from now, it'll be 100 when I get up. but I love this. So I wanted, it's getting warmer out. I got the air conditioning cranked in the house, but I wanted to dress a little bit cool, and I wanted to promote my New York Knicks. I'm very excited about this team. They came back. They talk about the zigzag situation in the playoffs. They're a very good team. They're playing very, very well. They're playing together. They're unselfish. And so I got to represent with my throwback P. Ewing jersey. I'm still my Guido. I'm still a Guido. Got the jewelry, got the Porsche glasses. That's now you can take the guy out of New York, but not New York out of the guy, Rob. But I want to support my New York Knicks. New York basketball, Madison Square Garden hasn't had a lot to cheer about in quite a few years. So I want to support my Knicks while we get a big playoff win and we're all up there. As a matter of fact, very funny. You got to love Vegas. 3 times today, I had to run some errands around, put my bets in and whatnot for tonight. And 3 times as I was entering or leaving casinos, I heard people scream, "Go Knicks, go!" 3 different places. The Knicks are very good for basketball, and it's great for New York, and it's a city that's been through a lot this last year. So I'm very happy. But Rob, John, I do add a few extra inches to my vertical when I'm wearing Ewing's jersey.
Fantastic. Hey, last night, the first half wasn't making any Knicks fans happy. Julius Randle again wasn't, but that second half, wow, they caught fire. Derrick Rose, God, what a reincarnation of a great basketball player. You remember him from when he played at Memphis in 2009, and then when he was MVP with the Bulls. And now, a lot of people thought he was washed up, but boy, he's been an integral part of that New York Knicks team this year, and I'm happy for him. They get to go to Atlanta now, 1-1. That Garden was absolutely, it was the way that I remember it as a kid, going to a lot of events there. I mean, I'm from Fairfield County, Connecticut, which is about 45 minutes outside the city. And whether it be a Big East tournament in the 80s or NIT tournaments were big at MSG in the 70s, or the Knicks game. I mean, that's the way I remember Madison Square Garden, the way it was last night. The crowd was absolutely fantastic.
I haven't seen anything like that in the crowd really in over a year. And it was nice to see for all the sports, but particularly that I'm a New Yorker and a New York fan. It's good to see. I think it's just good for sports. And you're right. And I will say this, and it's not because I'm a New York fan, because John and I have talked about betting with your heart, betting with your head, 2 separate things. But the way a coach and a team makes changes come the second half, whether it's football or basketball, and comes out, it really says a lot about the team. A team could catch you all, a little off track, or maybe have a different game plan in the first half, and you just can't make the adjustments just yet. But it really tells you a lot what a team is made of. And let's face it, Barrett and Randall are their offense, but the whole team is very unselfish, which tells me they're very dangerous. They go very far in these playoffs. They're playing great defense, and I was really excited. And you're right, though. Just turning on the television and seeing, you could see the rafters shaking, and it's good for sports betting, but it really is good for the country because we needed that shot in the butt, that kick in the butt to get back on track. I'm very excited about it.
It's awesome.
And the opposite, John, real quick, in our vicinity now, Philadelphia was the guy who dumped popcorn on Russell Westbrook's head last night and drove Russ a little bit crazy as he was leaving the arena. But, I've lived in both. I always say New York fans, I've seen the worst of them in Yankee Stadium. Philadelphia fans, I've seen the worst of them here. And Boston, those 3 East Coast cities. I mean, you got to be a little they're in the crowd. They're in the crowd. It was a shame that the guy, but the fans pointed him out and they got him out of there. Probably no place for that, especially now that fans are just allowed back in the arena. You want to start off that way, doing that to a visiting player. I don't think that's right.
Well, at least it wasn't a lot of popcorn.
Right, and it wasn't Malice at the Palace or anything like that. But these guys are in the heat of the moment, these athletes, and you just can't, agitate them in that manner and expect that you're going to get away with it. So we'll see how that goes from here on out. It made no difference in the game. John, your play was a blowout from start to finish, 76ers. We tried to pull our guy Tony Finn over the finish line with the total, but they just the second half just stopped scoring on both sides. Westbrook getting hurt didn't help any, but
I'm going to bring Jimmy Adams on here and Tony Mejia now, and then we can get to Mr. D'Amico's best bet. Welcome on board here, Tony and Jimmy. Glad to have you guys join us. We're gonna have quite the show here.
What's going on, guys?
Legendary
Hey,
Tony
Rob.
Finn just arrived.
Oh,
It's a
man.
party.
Now the pressure is on Joe D'Amico to come up with a pick that.
Yeah,
Tony
but
Finn
let me rub the top of Jimmy Adams' head first, so I can get some good luck here. Rub some of that
pretty
off.
nice run.
my-
Pretty nice
my
run. We're gonna
direction.
keep it going
A
today.
hell of a run.
Yeah, I was wondering. Anybody see who the top scorer was in the Sixers game last night?
Yes.
It was Simmons, right?
One of those guys that played in the fourth quarter that just impressed the
Don't
shit
let
out
him-
of me.
Oh,
Well-
Jimmy, I'm telling you, I'm a Ben Simmons disciple. I'm just short of getting a poster put in our bedroom.
Oh, man.
Which makes him a disciple of the devil, by the way.
Well, so what?
Why?
Disciple's a disciple.
Just clarifying things.
Well, who
making
was
everything
talking crap to Joel Embiid? Bradley Beal, right? And that may
Yeah.
give Embiid some extra motivation to kind of close out this series, which I don't think he needs any extra motivation, right?
No.
So,
Not this year.
I think that that's 4 games. I'd be surprised if it went 5. But when you, like I was telling Rob, when you put out a Big 10 unit, it was the first one I ever did at Sports Memo. I get nervous. You have you have more people getting on board, and you want to be right. And how embarrassing would it be if the Sixers lost at home and Simmons went 0 for 8 from the free throw line again, and it just would have been not good. But,
yeah, no, those 10-unit plays are a ton of pressure. I mean, we just added those recently, and I thought the 5-unit plays were a lot of pressure before. They still are, but you release a 10-unit play, yeah, you better cash it for your clients for sure. Real quick, congrats to Joe on the win, the Knicks win. That atmosphere was electric. I could feel it through the TV. It was unlike anything I've seen. Great to have packed houses back in these arenas again, right, boys?
Absolutely. To see Rob and I and John were just talking, to see it, in the Garden. I'm in Las Vegas for 31 years. I love this. This is my home, but you can take the boy out of New York. You can't take New York out of the boy. I think New York really did, being that it's a major city in the country, needed that shot, that kick in the butt, that shot in the arm to really get the spark going. New York, like many cities across the country, has been through a lot this last year. And it was nice to see the fans in the stands, the rafters shaking. And it was just a really good game. I think for all sports betting, I did have a nice play on the game. I was happy to see them. That wasn't my head. That wasn't my heart. That was my head. I just felt that they were a good situation for them last night. And
It was. Zigzag Theory worked that time. I had a bet on them too. I think a lot of people did at Sports Memo. So congrats to everyone who cashed on the Knicks.
By the way, Jimmy, I gotta tell you, I've been a fan for a while, but seeing you on those leaderboards, it's nice to see somebody who you like and respect on those leaderboards, burning them up. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We had quite the sweat last night. Did you guys see that Giants-Diamondbacks game?
No, I missed it.
I was on.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I was on the Giants.
Unlikely hero.
Yeah, exactly. I released the Giants last night. We're down 4-0 way early. Giants come back, couple home runs, bases loaded, 1 out in the 9th. And a bad base running error by the Diamondbacks really saved our behinds, and we were able to get out of that and cash the ticket. So sometimes better to be lucky than good, I guess.
There you go.
It always helps. Always helps. So let's get to Mr. D'Amico's pick today, which I saw, I think, on social media or another, maybe it was on Reddit.com. I think it's on the Brewers.
Me? No, I've got the talking about the NBA game tonight.
Which one?
Milwaukee Bucks game.
Oh, the social media only said Milwaukee. I assumed it was the Brewers. I mean,
those sons of bitches, they messed it up again. That's right. Just makes this a little more climactic. By the way, over at Sports Memo, guys, been riding the NBA leaderboard for months now. Red hot in baseball. Current run of 19-4. My last 23 premium releases over the last 30 and 60 days over at Sports Memo. top of the leaderboards. Not doing quite as good as Jimmy Adams right now, but I'm doing pretty good, consistent the last 30 and 60 days. Got one big winner on the board tonight, my coveted best bet play. I had the Knicks as my best bet last night, and a lot of people at Sports Memo got paid with that. Tonight's game is even higher rated, so follow those best bets over at Sports Memo. You'll beat your bookmaker once again. I do want to keep, just like myself, Rob Vino, I want to keep the analysis on this game short and sweet because I am very short and I'm truly sweet. So I want to keep this one short because we got a big panel. We're going to go on the road in the NBA where Milwaukee's currently laying between 1 and 1.5. I've seen both numbers around. The Bucks, 2 games tonight, as we know. They have 5 players averaging double digits. The Greek Freak and Chris Middleton are really the 2 players that are carving up a very well-respected Heat defense. But to me, it's been the Milwaukee D that should be getting the headlines. They've been absolutely smothering Miami, particularly Miami's top regular season scorer. Jimmy, don't call me Jimmy Buckets anymore. Jimmy Butler, who's only averaging, don't call him Jimmy Buckets. The guy's averaging 8 points less than he did in the regular season right now, just 13.5 points per game. That's, these 8 points that he's not contributing and then he's still getting the ball is really taking away from what's going on with the team. Without him producing, I don't see this team having much of a chance. The Heat are 3-7 against the number of the last 10 in the underdog role, which tells you they can't cover for them bettors betting those dogs. And we all like dogs. We all play dogs a lot of the time. But this is a team that does not get the bettors paid when they're in the underdog role. I'm going to take Milwaukee tonight. Try to get that one. There are some around. If you get the 1.5, buy it down a couple of pennies. You take that Milwaukee Bucks, you'll take your bookmaker's money.
All right, let's go around the horn here and see what everyone thinks. So, Jimmy Adams, you can agree or disagree with the pick, or you can just pass.
I like the other side, but it's for a free play and a small unit bet. Joe made some great points there, so I will divert and go for a free play in Major League Baseball. Are we all talking about the same game?
We can do your free pick, and then what would make it easier is the guys around the horn here. We'll just pick one of the games and agree or disagree.
Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and disagree on that, and I'm gonna either look like an idiot. I'm gonna try and not overreact to what happened in that last game. I think Miami, with their backs up against the wall, Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, like you said, they've been abysmal coming home, full capacity crowd. Or 17,000 plus. I think the Heat get a win tonight. So we'll see what happens.
All right,
we have
John,
a horse race, gentlemen.
John, if I may, Jimmy, I respect you. I love you. I think we should put a little bit of fun and a little excitement on this panel. Let's bet dinner on it at the current line of 1 or 1.5. Whoever wins, the other guy's got to buy dinner. But I will tell you, don't be like Rob Vino. When I beat him for dinner last time, he took me to Denny's, told him it was my birthday. So we can't do that. I'm just kidding, Rob. Rob's a great guy. We haven't done this before. Let's bet dinner on it. May bring some excitement to it. Is that okay for you?
Sounds great. We'll hit up Barry's or Andiamo, whatever you want.
You got it. Are you a Vegas guy? You're in Vegas?
I'm not currently in Vegas, but I'm there all the time. So we'll make it happen.
Next time you're out, you let me know. We'll go see a show. We'll go have some fun. Let's see who dinner's on, though. This will be a lot of fun tonight.
For sure. Sounds good.
I'll put it on the spreadsheet just in case I get a phone call for the bail money. Just in case.
Please give me that number.
Yeah, last time I was on, Joe, I said, man, that Joe guy, he's high energy. He must be a fun dude to party with. So we'll definitely have fun.
I gotta tell you that if Tony Finn comes to town, they have a picture of the two of us in every casino. We're not allowed. We're like Michael and LaToya. You're not allowed in the same place at the same time. Tony Finn and I can't go in the same place. But when you come to town, dinner is always going to be on me, and so is any show you want. I'm big with the shows. Everybody on the panel, because I love all you guys. But, obviously you got it. Tony Finn and I, we can't go in the same place at the same time. We're wanted men together.
Yeah, they won't let me. If I drive further than a mile away from my house, I get pulled over, and they just say, "This Tony, where are you going? Turn the fuck around. Get going back home."
Yeah, and to make it easier on Tony, I have a GPS device. They put it underneath his car, and then I can alert him right away, so it's not so troubling.
Yes, doesn't it's a conspiracy. Let's
Well,
get
you
this
only have
done.
another 7 years to go, and then you don't have to worry about it.
I know. Like there's past statute limitations. I agree. I'll be right. I don't have to. I can quit that plans to Belize and all the other non-extraditable countries.
Which are, I think we're up to 36 that you have
When
named.
I know them all. Which one would you like to go to?
No, we're taking our time. I'm trying to figure out which letter of the alphabet I like best, and then match it up with one of the countries. Jimmy, tell us what your record is over at Sports Memo now, because that's pretty hot stuff. Because you've been, I don't even think you have any cold water in your house.
Yeah, we are up to 27-4 last 31. We went 6-0 in our 5-unit plays for the month of May, so that'll wrap up the 5-unit plays for a nice month of May. We have a 4-unit top play up in baseball for this evening, so lots of good stuff. The pressure remains on for me to pick winners every day, and like you guys too, everyone on this panel. So we'll just try and keep it running. The handicapping angle doesn't change. Like I was telling Teddy on Wager Talk, whether I'm 2-8 or on this run, you got to go through the same process. Got to turn the page, so to speak, and forget whatever happened yesterday. Doesn't matter. It's all about winning today, because streaks don't really matter. The games tonight, whether we're going to cash them or not, they don't care how hot I am. So got to put the work in.
Yeah, it's that is well said, because that's exactly right. And it applies to any of us that played sports too, especially starting pitchers, batters, especially, because when I coached baseball, I'll tell you what I used to say to a kid that was pissed off because he just struck out and he'd walk past me. I'd say, you know what? What are you pissed off about? You're that much closer now to your next home run. And depending on the age group, whether it was, an 18-year-old would say something different back to me, and a 12-year-old would say something different. But
this idea that sports bettors get in their head that you're due for a win, you're not due for a win. You have the same probability of winning tonight as if you were to win last night or lose last night. You're not due for a win. You need to get that thinking, out of your head, so to speak.
We got the Prez in the chat room. We have the Prez. Welcome, Prez. And we have Richard Kolsch, I think it is. And he has a question here. I think we'll go to this, and then we'll start with Mr. Finn with a game that he wants to break down. We'll just go around the horn. But here's the question, and this is I would say this is betting 101, but it's a great question. Do most handicappers say bet $100 on plus 150 bet, or do they bet 150 on a minus 150, or just 100 always? Who wants to answer that one?
I think that you should stick. I think that being very consistent with your bets and making them the same units. So if you have a bet that you're getting a price, it's always like if you use 100 as a staple, 100 to win this or this to win 100. But always be careful if you're winning or losing to gradually progress or regress your bets. It's size of the bankroll is as important as how hot you are. Money management is as or more important than wins and losses. But I always use, for example, I'll always use 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 for the main staple of that. It's 100 to win 100. If it's 150, as Rob and I have talked, we don't like to go above $1.45-ish on these baseball games. But yeah. You would bet $145 to win 100. But try to stay the same units, the same denominations, no matter how much you love or not or like something. It's always about money management to me, as important or more important than wins and losses.
Yeah, it's a good take. I know some people have asked me, like, well, what the heck happened? I bet 100 and they only paid me $91 and some odd cents. And then you have to explain, we know what that is. You actually bet the 91 to win. You bet the 100 to win 91 instead of bet 110 to win 100. And then all of a sudden the light bulb goes off and they get it. But that's a good question from Richard, so we appreciate it very much. Anybody else want to chime in on an answer?
I think you guys covered it right.
I think that's pretty good. Pretty
You know,
good explanation.
All right, so let's move on the agenda here. I have number one to talk about in the NBA is it over for the Clippers? Can they win 4 of the next 5? And pretty much, like we talk, like if you're the coach and, pretend you're the coach, what would you do to get the Clippers rolling again? So I know my Tony Mejia here, he was national beat writer for people that don't know him for CBS Sports for a long, long time. I think he would be best qualified to talk about this for this particular topic, and then we'll just go on from there.
Well, do the Clippers have a shot? Yeah, of course they do, because they have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and those guys are world class. But they haven't phased Doncic whatsoever, and Tim Hardaway Jr. is running real hot. So right now, I would take a shot with the Clippers at the series price, because it's probably going to get no more advantageous. Obviously, if they go down 3-0, it's a wrap, and if they get to 2-1, they can swing their way back into the series. So I think Ty Lue's made some mistakes. He's playing Patrick Beverley too much. He's got personnel on his team and Nick Batum that you can go bigger with. You've got to unleash Rondo and hope he can give you the best. I mean, at this point, it's all the messing around is done. And they've lost 2 games with a lack of defense that you don't expect to see from this group. And is that Doncic's brilliance and Hardaway and that supporting cast being great? Yeah, absolutely is. It's also hurt the Clippers that Staples Center is one of the few venues that hasn't really increased capacity. Once Portland gets to 8,000 today, I think that makes Staples Lakers and Staples Clippers the 2 worst home court advantages in the playoffs thus far. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a real interesting game 3, just to see if they switch something up to make Doncic a passer and just take what's going to happen with Dallas, the supporting cast, even though you don't like to do that, with them probably feeling more comfortable at home.
Yeah, let's add these couple angles from the database. I always want to talk about player situations. We talk about betting systems. We have the NBA angle of the day, which is team. It's always team related. These are like bounce backs. For example, and I'm not just saying this to be a jerk about Ben Simmons, but did you know that in games where he's coming off a home game and had 10 or more assists, the Sixers are 21-4 against the spread in the next game, now 22-4. So there's things like that where you're looking for the bounce back. And of course, I did it with free throws of less than 1 made. And the record against the spread in that situation is very good for the Sixers too. So Kawhi Leonard scored 41, I believe, in that last game and lost. So we have the Clippers. In his career, his teams are 8-4 against the spread off a home loss in which he scored 30 or more points. The Clippers are 5-2. I'm sorry, 6-1 against the spread, coming off a loss in which both Leonard and Paul George each scored 25 or more points. Does that have merit to it?
Sure. I mean, at this point, you're looking for those guys to give you that type of effort, but now you're going on the road, and you really need those fringe guys to play their best games. And to me, the key is obviously getting Doncic off his rhythm early, whether that's to make him just a scorer and he's not quite the facilitator, or if you have him missing that fadeaway that he has so much confidence in. So who do you start out with on him? I would start Paul George, but you have to have Kawhi or Paul George on the floor at all times. You probably have to have Les Beverly because he has no effect out there. So you play Batum, you play Marcus Morris Sr. And again, like you need to rebound, you need to make shots. They're not hitting shots with the consistency that Dallas is. So the Mavericks have been a worthy challenger over the first 2 games. Surprised the hell out of me because I expected at least 1-1. I fell down with the ship in game 2. But yeah, certainly I wouldn't write the Clippers off yet.
Yeah, and how do you think they're going to react with, I guess, Paul George and Chris Paul, obviously veterans, but the Dallas stadium is going to be packed, full house.
Oh, yeah. I mean, right now, I don't know. We'll probably transition to see what you guys think about this stuff. But I liked New York's home court advantage because I figured the Garden was going to be crazy. But with a lot of these games, for instance, Brooklyn-Boston coming up on Friday night, I'm expecting that Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden relish in going into an opposing building. And I don't know I know there's going to be almost full capacity for Game 4. I'm not sure if they pull back restrictions for Game 3, but there's going to be a lot of people there. Some of these guys are natural born villains, and they want to take your heart on the road. And this is the time to do it. And they didn't get to do it last year in the bubble. So from that standpoint, I'm not blindly backing home court teams just because they get to debut at home in these playoffs. Tonight, though, Lakers and Suns, first playoff game ever at Staples for everyone in that home starting lineup, for everybody on the Lakers, period, because they didn't make the playoffs with Kobe for years, and there's nobody left from that team. And obviously, LeBron's first season ended without a playoff appearance, and last year was the bubble. So I find that to be an interesting wrinkle.
Yeah, as I said yesterday, I think the Lakers are in trouble. I guess we'll learn more tonight. I just think Phoenix is the better team, top to bottom. Looking at the roster, second unit, I like better. But everybody has an opinion, and I want to know what Tony Finn thinks with the Clippers-Dallas matchup. Would you take the Clippers at plus 200 to win the series right now?
No, the math doesn't. That's if in true math, all things equal, plus 200 is not the right price for a team that at this point in time. In truth, listen, if they're playing 4-on-5, as Tony said, as long as Patrick Beverley's on the floor, it's 5 against 4. He adds nothing to this game. He adds nothing. He cannot defend Doncic, and he doesn't add enough offense to supplement that being that liability. They have to. This is what I wish Lou would do. I wish he'd say, listen, I'm going to put, as Tony said, I want to put George, and I'm going to put the best perimeter defender I've ever seen. I mean, at his peak, at his best, was Kawhi Leonard. He was the best perimeter defender I've ever seen, and he's a guy who could shut down Doncic. However, you sacrifice offense with that. So if he said he was going to do that, then we'd both just be on the under. All of us will just pitch in and kill a book on the under. In this situation, I can't play the Clippers. Not down 2-0. They got to go back to Dallas. I don't see Lou sitting Patrick Beverley for 38 of the 48 minutes, which I think needs to be done. They got size. There's a lot of ways. Tony and I, we did a show with Rob, I, and Tony, and we talked about lineups that make more sense than the mistakes, I think, rotational mistakes that Lou's made. So no, answer is no. I can't not only be on plus 200 Clips. I'm also not going to lay the price they want for the Mavs because, as you guys know, this is the Clippers, so anything's possible.
Well, I guess I had somebody ask me today, what are the odds that the Mavericks go up 3-0? It doesn't matter that they won the previous 2 games. It's whether they're going to win this game as a whatever the line is currently. So take the money line, and that tells you the probability of what they're going to be 3-0 or is going to be 2-1. But I think Dallas is in their heads. I mean, whoever saw this coming, losing 2 as a number 2 seed. And you guys already know I have the championship matchup, Sixers Clippers at 16-1. So I'm not too happy about them losing at home. And I'm not so sure they can win 4 out of 5. And you should get paid a lot more than plus 200 on a series bet when you have to win 4 out of 5. I don't care if you're the second seed or the first seed. It's not there.
I think it's because the Clippers are still favored for Game 3. So, I mean, the books are really being stubborn. And look, Dallas is the only team that I wrote off out of the top 7 in the Western Conference. So real math doesn't even apply here. Real percent, the percentages and the prices, the money lines and point spreads are all going to be geared to one thing and one thing only, and that's getting equal parts shares of this market, this stock on this game, equal size. That's all they want. They're not predicting the final score. So plus 200 is not right, but it's the right one because there's going to be all kinds of people on the Clippers at plus 200.
Yep. Well, if nobody else has anything on that game, let's move over to the Suns and the Lakers. Suns at Staples. Los Angeles, California. LA is favored by 6.5, over under about 212-ish. And this game starts at 10 o'clock tonight. And let's start with Rob Vino this time with his thoughts, leans. What do you like the under, which is kind of where I'm going, even though I lost the last game going under with this matchup. But it just seems like like I said, the Suns, I think, are the better team. Devin Booker, LeBron, AD's not playing well. What do you think?
Well, I'm going to go backwards just for half a second here, John, real quick. I mean, we talked a lot about Clippers Dallas yesterday, but I'm just going to reiterate some of the things we said yesterday. And you bet these games and you bet these series in particular, and you learn over the course of time, there's no blanket statement for anything. This matchup, the fact that the LA Clippers intentionally lost to Houston and Oklahoma City because they wanted this opponent, and this matchup sucks for them, period. We can talk about all the things that they can try to do. Ty Lue, to his credit, has tried everything with this team. He tried to put Kawhi Leonard on Luka Doncic second quarter of that last game, and Kawhi got gassed. By the fourth quarter, Kawhi was gassed. He stopped shooting the ball up until like the last couple of minutes. He made a couple of shots, but they have no answers for this team. And it was a bad matchup. It remains a bad matchup. That's not to say the Clippers can't win a game or two, but they're not going to win 4 out of 5, in my opinion, against this team. And Rick Carlisle's pushing all the right buttons right now. He goes to Willie Cauley-Stein for 15 minutes in game 2 after only playing him 4 minutes in game 1. And Willie Cauley-Stein was great underneath. He tried, again, we're reiterating a lot of stuff we went over yesterday, but for the people that are watching today that didn't watch yesterday, Ty Lue even tried a change in philosophy. This is the second slowest tempo team in the NBA on offense. And they go out and run like crazy in the first half and put up 73 points. It still didn't work. They let it half. They lost the third quarter. Luka can get by anybody on that team. It doesn't really matter who they put on him. It's a Band-Aid. It's a shame. You look at the Clippers and you say to yourself, how can this team have 3 former all first-team NBA defenders, Leonard, George, Beverly, and not be able to stop this guy? They have the wrong center. And believe me, if Dallas gets through here, if I'm just going to look ahead, this matchup's not going to exist for Dallas anymore, because if they end up getting the Lakers, you're running into a front line of Andre Drummond, Anthony Davis, and LeBron. It's a totally different story against that team. But with this team, I don't think they can stop them. We talked a lot about Tim Hardaway Jr. yesterday. Tim Hardaway Jr. plays with that unafraid mentality that you need in the playoffs. Right now, I think he's like 15 or 16 for 27, knocking down threes all over the place. When you put him, Kristaps, and Luka together, they have their own version of Big Three in this series. I don't know if game 3 is the Clippers series, so I wouldn't bet against them tomorrow, even though they're on the road. But there's a good possibility they could lose to Dallas tomorrow, so probably a game I'll let go. But this is just a bad matchup for this team, guys, and I don't know. Hey, Tony, let me ask Tony Mejia one quick question, because when I was racking my brain, what can this guy do? It's amazing to me that the last 2 weeks of the season, they paid Luke Kennard $44 million. All right. And Luke Kennard has been a coach's decision on the bench for 2 weeks, except for one game where he, one of those garbage games against Houston or OKC where he played like 6 minutes. And why Luke Kennard hasn't seen the light of day for a team that could actually use some 3-point, even though they're a great 3-point shooting team. He was a big part of that throughout the season. And I know, the obvious answer is Luke Kennard doesn't bring a lot of defense to the table, but your defense isn't stopping this team anyway. So, it's the only other option I can think of that he hasn't exhausted yet in the first 2 games is why doesn't Luke Kennard even get off the bench?
Yeah, I guess Terrence Mann is ahead of him in this particular rotation, but you can always flip-flop that and go with Kennard's perimeter shooting. He was solid down the stretch in the games they were trying to tank, shooting it, so he should have some sort of rhythm. But, we barely seen Serge Ibaka. He's played Reggie Jackson more than Rondo, which I think is strange. And now I'm depressed because the Brewers beat the Padres. It's been a disappointing afternoon when it should have been a good one. But anyway, look, the Clippers have the depth to get through the entire Western Conference, even down 0-2. But certainly, I think Ty Lue's let them down first 2 games.
5 games, guys. And again, Tony, we talked about it. First of all, let me just say this. Teams down 0-2 that dropped, or teams ahead 2-0 that won both games on the road in a 7-game series are 27-4.
Yep.
So when Tony Finn said the math doesn't add up, he's damn right. The math doesn't add up. 27-4 is like 87% chance Dallas is going to win this series, and they're minus 250. That's not 87%. So that out of the way real quick here. These teams have met 5 times this season, 5 times, all 5 times now. And 5 is a big sample size in one season, 5 matchups. They've shot 49% or better in every single game against this team. It's no fluke. It just keeps happening. Game in, game in, game in, game in. They could drop off one game, but to see them losing this series, I don't see it, John. Real quick on the Lakers-Phoenix, I'm with you. I like the under here. This total, for whatever reason, has gone up to 212. Last game, I think it closed 210.5. It took everything under the sun. Believe me, I had over 210.5. Everything under the sun to get that game to 211. And that's not really a pun, saying under the sun in the Sun series, but they scored like 19 points in the last 2 minutes, 17 of 17 free throws. This game may be going up a shade because about 10 of 3 Eastern time this afternoon, they announced Chris Paul is going to play. He's been cleared to play, but in his condition, I don't know that Chris Paul equates to playing over in this game. Guy's got a bad right shoulder. Word is that he couldn't dribble, couldn't shoot in the game where he returned game 1 and game 2. He just sat the bench, only played 25 minutes. So to see this number go up, guys, a little bit of surprise to me. I would say Lakers Suns under tonight until they prove differently. It's been the slowest pace series of all. They've had the least field goal attempts per game in all these 8 series. I don't know that the Lakers want to change that. The Lakers want to rely on defense and their bigs to win. The top 4 in the starting lineup, Drummond, James, Davis, and Schroeder had 96 of the 109 points. Bench was non-existent. I think 212, just that number in particular, you got to play under. I thought it would have come down, but it didn't. It stays up there. So I'll play under 212. Could be wrong, but I think the series is showing you that.
Good stuff, Rob. Mr. D'Amico, do you have anything to add?
No, that happens to be the game I put out as my best bet tonight. I think everybody made some good points on the game. I'm going to stay off this because I'd like people to go and buy my game, but I think everybody made some really good points. Go buy the game. No, I think everybody made some good points. I want to say to the Prez, here's the close-up. He asked for a close-up of the watch. It's a new one. That's what he wanted. He asked for a close-up of the watch.
I think
Blingy.
Oh, yeah. The good people at P&J were nice enough to make me a custom watch. So, very happy. It weighs more than I do, but I love it. I'm a Guido. What can you do? I'm a Guido. But, no, I think everybody made some good points on this game. I do want to say that I think Rob made some good points on the total of the game. I noticed the same thing he noticed. 4 of their 5 starters accounted for 96 of their points. And that's a big key in what's going to happen in the following game, and everybody's made some great points. I mean, I'm just going to stay off this one. Go buy my game, though.
With the chat room question on Booker, I'm actually pulling up the prop bets on points. Wondering what you guys think real quick across the board. I don't have to spend more than 20, 30 seconds explaining the reason, but Devin Booker is over 28.5, minus 113, and minus 113 under 28.5 at DraftKings. So we'll start with Jimmy Adams. Over or under or nothing?
I'm going to pass on the prop. From what I understand, Tony Mahia is the prop expert here, so I'm just going to pass and defer to him on this one.
Sounds good.
My props tend to die when players don't play in the fourth quarter, Jimmy. I had one, Domantas Sabonis. I needed a bucket. He didn't play in the fourth quarter of that Wizards Pacers game. And last night it happened to me again with Tobias Harris. He actually got that standalone wide open 3 late in the third. He hits it. He can go sit on the bench, and I'm sitting pretty because I was over 21.5, and instead he missed it and didn't get back in the game. But I will say that the rationale is sound. Devin Booker's made 22 of 23 free throws in the series. He's averaging 32.5 points. Ayton's played fantastic around the rim and being really efficient, finishing there. But Booker's been the playmaker, and he'll probably have the ball in his hands a little more with Chris Paul as limited as he's going to be. The only thing to detract from that is the number's pretty high. And if the Lakers say, well, Chris Paul is not a shooter in this series anymore, and he can't beat us, we're going to send doubles and shade coverage towards Booker. It makes him more of a passer, makes Campaign. Every time I say Campaign's name, for the uninitiated, I don't want to mean Campaign. Cameron Payne, the very solid guard that the Suns have who can really score and fill it up. He might be your better scoring prop option.
Love it, Tony. Anybody else want to add to this?
You wonder real quick, guys, I don't play props, but in this series, will Devin Booker wear down? He's played 85 minutes in 2 games already. Now, he scored 34 and 31, which is over the 28.5 tonight. And to the point that the chat room, Bill McDonald over there, I'm looking at his name now, the point that Bill McDonald's making that he has to carry the team is probably true. But I would be with something that Tony just said there about Cameron Payne. The more minutes he's going to play, and I don't know that prop places are adjusting his number upward, but I think he had 15 or 19 or something in that area the other day. If he's going to play more minutes and you're just getting a regular season campaign prop number, then certainly he might be worth a look as well. But I just wonder how long Booker can last here, play these types of minutes under the defensive pressure, again, like Tony said, that the Lakers are probably inevitably going to put on him and force him to beat that team.
I don't see a Cameron Payne number at FanDuel. There might be some elsewhere, hopefully, but yeah, that's he's definitely not shy. And I'll wrap up since I think it was my turn for this Suns Lakers total. I'll give it out because this is the game that I gave out on Wager Talk today, so it'll be my free play here. I like the under as well. I was on the under of 210.5 the other night that I got destroyed by a 60-point fourth quarter and 17 for 17 free throw shooting and all that nonsense down the stretch. But big shots from LeBron and the Suns being able to get into that 15-point lead. But this morning, right before I did the show, I got a couple hours of sleep in, so I saw the number dipping towards the 210 range. I said, let me get this in at 210.5. That's what I sent in for the show's purposes. And, the fact that both of these teams shot the ball reasonably well. I mentioned DeAndre Ayton has been excellent in finishing, almost clinically, probably shooting close to 90% from the field. Both of these teams shot over 45% in game 2, and it barely got over. Both of these teams had over 30 free throws, or like 28 to 30, 26, 28 to 32. So where they were just finishing at an extremely high rate. And again, we needed all of that just to get to 211. And so I went to bed 210.5. I wake up, it's 211.5, 212. So I don't have a reason for that either. I wish I had 212 tonight on my picks, but it's a client play. I'm going under 210.5.
Awesome. Let's move to the last game on the card here. Denver. Let me get the notes here. We have the Nuggets, another big matchup. Similar last name than Doncic, but this guy is Jokic against Damian Lillard. Nuggets Trailblazers. 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at the Moda Center in Portland, Oregon. Lines Portland -4. The over-under is 227. And since this is the first time we've ever had 6 guys, I'm just going to throw it out there, and whoever wants to go first, go first. And don't be shy. All right, Tony.
Tough game. I couldn't pull the trigger on this either way. I thought there was arguments pro and con. I thought it was a little too tough. And I thought the Lakers Suns game was a little bit stronger, so I put that as a premium. I thought this one was too tough either way. I couldn't pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, it is a tough game. It's a pass for me too. I just wanted to point out real quick that if you believe that you have an advantage with these packed houses like we saw that incredible scene in New York last night. I don't believe Portland is going to have a packed house. I think they may have some of the fewest fans allowed in all of the teams in the playoffs. So that's just something to consider before you run to the window.
Yeah, barely
Portland is going to have, actually, because you're right, it is one of the smallest crowds, but it's going to have the most drastic change, because you probably remember that Damian Lillard was saying, wow, we have no fans in the building. They were one of the teams that had 0 fans latest. The Thunder never let fans in, but beyond that, everybody did. Well, the Blazers have been at about 2,000 for most of the end of the regular season, and they actually got hot down the stretch at home. Tonight it'll be 8,000. So that's going to be pretty drastic. 4 times as many fans. Robert Covington was commenting on it, how it's going to be a different animal there, and certainly something that they need, considering that in game 1, all their reserves really showed up at Ball Arena in Denver and made the difference. Melo, Anthony Simons, all playing well, and in game 2 they were all no-shows. So you figure that they will make a difference tonight. But Denver, they had no answer for Jokic in Denver. It's going to be a very interesting game. I have a 5% play on it at Wager Talk, so I'll not say another word about it.
Buy the play.
Buy the play.
Well, it wouldn't be. How do you say it? I always go to Tony Finn because he's taught me so many big words that it's just unbelievable, and I've taught him Latin.
Yes. Yeah.
But I guess I would be remiss, right? Is that the thing, or I would be Swiss miss?
That's more than 4
like
letters.
That.
I don't know what it means.
If I didn't show the NBA angle of the day and the proper way to present it. So this is the game I actually like. Let me get rid of Bill McDonald here real quick so we can see what this says.
Sorry, Bill.
Yeah. Appreciate it. There we go. So we have betting on home favorites, 3.5 to 9.5 points, with a revenging a double-digit loss, which they are. The home cooking favorite is playing only their second game in the past 5 days. That's all there is to it. I think it's very easy to understand. I know Rob Vino agrees with that as well. 77, 33, and 1 against the number, 70% over the last 5 seasons, favors to bet Portland minus the points over the Denver Nuggets. And I haven't decided yet, but that might be my best bet for the show. Anybody have any comments on that? Because sometimes these things get presented, and it's deer in the headlights. Apparently, from what I hear.
This was an easy one to understand, John.
No. I don't know. I don't worship idols.
Well,
pay attention to any of this stuff.
We're gonna have a little bit of fun here now. We've been way too serious the whole show, I think. So here's an over/under in the Suns-Lakers game that gets a little bit more complex, but I think you'll be able to follow it without even a chart. You're going to bet under where Team A is the road team seeking revenge, and the average road points by Team A that they score when on the road, not combined, plus the average points that is scored by the home team in their home games is greater than the total by 5%.
So you're saying that you're being lowballed on the total on purpose because the Suns are going to revenge this game tonight, but they're not going to score more than they normally score. And then the Lakers, you throw their normal home scoring average in there.
Well,
I think it has to do with eating McDonald's. They all ate at McDonald's for lunch. That has to be thrown. You got to make sure you make that transparent.
Well, that's the last part of the system.
Then I'm in.
It's and then the mushrooms is a subset of the McDonald's prime set.
Send me the directions because I'm leaving right now.
Like you take the total, take the average points of the team that scores on the road, their average road per game, points per game. Add it to the home team. That number is 5% less than what the market is saying the game should go. So it could be that the Suns and the Lakers could score a few points over their season averages based on venue. but more than likely it'll be far less. So believe it or not, this is one of the ones, and I hate to admit that I have thousands of these, but I do. This P value or the JR value, I mean, Las Vegas Chris would like this. The JR value is so outstanding that all these parameters work very, very, very well together.
Yeah.
So if you trusted me and I showed you the JR value, which is the Z score on steroids, this is one that I would have no problem recommending somebody to bet every time it comes up.
How is your to jump? I'm not jumping off ship or off course. I'm staying in the same boat in the same stream. How do these trends work when you use so many season averages and then translate them or transfer them into a postseason event? How do they in the history? How do they work for you?
Well, believe it or not, it takes a while at the beginning of the season to get a game where it's 5% greater than the team's scoring averages.
Okay. Yeah.
It takes you at least to game number 25. So I could actually put that in there and say, the second half of the season, after game number 41, after game number 25, whatever.
Well, how do the trends work? I mean, how do the trends apply? Let's put it this way: this trend that you're issuing right now, the one that you're pitching us, is this trend something that you've used in past playoffs? Do you remember?
Yes.
Or remember?
Yep.
And how did it turn out for you? Positive?
Well, I'm pulling it up, and I can
very good.
tell you right here.
It's too silent now. All of a sudden, you guys will.
Yeah, this is unusual for us.
We're waiting intently.
The playoffs, last 5 years playoffs. It has gone 52 and 38 to the under.
How about in the last 2 years? Can you break that? Is it you have to do much more work to get that? I want to know that.
The last 2 years, you're bringing the bubble into it.
Well, I am. I'm bringing the bubble into it, but it's basically it has to do with the amount of 3-pointers that on average, of what we've seen happen in the last.
Well, something I know off the top of my head is the Suns and the Lakers are top 5 in 3-point percentage defense, so that always helps an under.
Yeah,
and they haven't really shot very well in this series.
Well, I mean, Lakers can't shoot.
These two teams are teams that hang their hats on defense, and I don't think that changes tonight. That's simplified from that standpoint. I wish I would have gotten 212. That's all.
Answer 12 and 9 to the under.
Okay, there's a liability. LeBron's a liability at this point, simply because he thinks at some point in his career he could actually shoot 3-pointers. At this point in his career,
he's made clutch ones this postseason.
At this point in his career, in game 1, he came out of the restricted area. I mean, he only went in the paint 4 times. So
I think he's going to rely on the 3 ball most of this series because he doesn't have that burst, not yet.
I know, and then I have to say that just my save all statistical anomalies. Then if you tell me LeBron's going to shoot 3-pointers all game, I'm going to be with all you guys on the under, and I'm going to be taking the points.
I'll give you my much more simplified off the top of my head.
I thought that was simple.
Listen, another reason to play the under, at least in my mind. I keep a statistic for myself, potential points scored. If every single shot taken in a game had gone in the basket, every single one went in the basket, how many points would the two teams have combined to score? Last game, Phoenix and LA, the total was 422. If they'd have made every shot, they would have scored 422 points. They had to convert 50% of those points to get to 211. All right, the game before they combined, the number was 418.
Yeah,
and they scored a lower percentage of points, so the game stayed under. Those numbers, guys, to put them into relative terms or something you can use it with, the league average per game is 455. Is an average NBA game, everything going in the basket. These teams have played 422 and 418, and it took balls out 50% shooting or 50% point conversion rate to get to 211. So, yes, they could go over 212, but my mathematics, without digging too deep into a database, tell me that, I'm a simple guy, guys. It tells me 212 is going to be hard to get to for these two teams, two slow tempo teams, two teams that hang their hat on defense. Tony Mejia mentioned it.
90 points, Rob. 90 points. 90 points by the Lakers.
The injury considerations, guys. The injury considerations. LeBron, you just talked about.
Yeah.
The ankle's still bugging him and Chris Paul. Two of your most key pieces on the floor. So to me, under 212, right way to go.
The third fewest.
I want everybody to go by Joe D'Amico's play on this game, but I hope to God that Joe D'Amico is on under 212 in this game. Make us all right.
It's not on the side. It's not on the total. It's the side.
Damn it, Joe. Okay. I need to parlay.
All right. I'll tell you what. I'm going to take your under with my game, and I'll parlay. And dinner's on me, Rob.
Find a good Italian place. They're hard
Avenue
because they're hard to find in Las Vegas. I was there 12 years. It's hard to find East Coast Italian food out there.
Take them to Herbs and Rye. Can't go wrong.
I think you should fly east, Rob, and Arthur Avenue.
Yeah, we'll go to Arthur Avenue, Joe. We just had a nice discussion about Arthur Avenue yesterday, me and John
Good
Rayn.
friend of my father's, and my first babysitter was his daughter who ran Arthur Avenue for 50 years.
You weird me out when you bring up your babysitter, Joe, okay?
Well, she was my babysitter. There's not much I can say, Tony. Back in those days, you didn't have to shy away from that. I spent a lot of time on Arthur Avenue. I was a little Italy boy in Manhattan, always partial, but knew a lot of the guys from Arthur Avenue. Used to go down there quite often. But there's a few good Italian restaurants here now, Rob.
Yeah.
There's one 5 minutes from my house. I'll take you down anytime you come into town.
Which one is that? Ferrara's? Which one is Italian, Joe?
Nora's right on Flamingo, West Flamingo. It's a nice place. I'll take the whole bunch. You guys all come in together. We got a nice little private room because they'll probably throw us out of the restaurant if you get us bunched together. We'll drink a lot of wine and have a lot of fun.
The restaurant will probably be rated. There's a damn good chance for all in there together. It will be rated.
There you go.
Well, Tony, you got weirded out there a little bit, but nothing weirded me out like this.
Hi, Santa.
I mean, that's truly
that's not quite as weird as him sitting with his babysitter, baby. But
who was that?
Who was that? John Daly.
John Daly in 34 strokes. I got John in 34 strokes. I'm a winner.
Yeah, Tony, he's going to have 34 strokes, he's going to. Oh, I get it now.
I had two PGA Tour experts on my show this week, Nick Borman being one of them. And I asked him to tell me the truth if you could get an effing bet with a guy that doesn't make the cut and get 34 shots before the tournament starts. Because John Daly lost to Phil Mickelson by 33.
I know, 34 strokes.
And Tony took the points. No, you took the shots.
I took the strokes.
No pun intended on John Daly there. He took the shots with 34 shots.
You had to add 34 to Mickelson's, so he really didn't win. You see, he got the trophy. He didn't win. Finished dead effing last.
In case you're wondering,
John Daly.
Mickelson's in 97th at Colonial +3, and I
can't believe he's playing. To be honest with you, I figured he'd still be drunk and
Brandon Grease withdrew with a 76. I mean, fatigue is huge.
Tony said he's to be drunk.
John Daly would.
So let's go around the horn here for the final thoughts. You can say a final thought. You don't have to have a best bet, but we prefer the best bets. So let's start with Jimmy Adams Vegas and go right around.
All right, yeah. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm gonna go to baseball today. Go to the Diamond. You're gonna have to lay a little bit of chalk, but for a free play, I'll look to the A's tonight. They were -145 at the Westgate about an hour ago, but it's creeping up, so it's probably around 150 right now. Something's going on with Shohei Ohtani. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's tired or if he's hurt, but his velocity was way down in his last start. So something's going on. It's going to be interesting to see tonight. Also, you take the best player on the planet out of the lineup, and it really affects the Angels' offense. So Mike Trout being gone is a big blow for Anaheim. Chris Bassett has been consistent all season long. You run down his starts, you're going to see about 2 earned runs. He's given up a couple more in just a few starts, but he's pretty much the model of consistency for Oakland. So the Angels just beat the series, won the series against the A's. Just beat the Angels in the series last week. Excuse me. And I think they're going to do it again tonight. So if you can lay a little bit of chalk, go ahead and take the A's and cash a free play today.
Love it, Jimmy. Let's move over to Tony Mejia with his final thoughts, and best bet.
All right, I'll zoom through three things. Lakers, Suns under, as mentioned. Again, wish I had a better number for my personal use, but 212 should be good. I have a free play on my page at wt.buzz/TM if you're on Twitter or wherever, however that works. But my page on Wager Talk, it's on the first leg of the Mexican League Championship final.
Ooh.
So
Awesome.
I follow soccer on this continent. I'm Colombian. You know, I'm looking forward to qualifying, so ramp it up. Anyway, so I found the Santos Laguna is playing Cruz Azul. You guys will all like this.
Yeah.
Cruz Azul, if you look it up on like the internet, it's almost like Clemsoning. They were the Chicago Cubs of that league. They haven't won anything since '97, despite always being in the mix. So, like, if before Clemson got really good, we used to say, "Oh, they're Clemsoning. They're Clemsoning their way out of it." Spanish people down in Mexico say you're Cruz Azuling. So they're playing the first leg at Santos Laguna. Santos Laguna, decent play tonight. Money line, three-way money line to get that result in the first leg. Second leg is obviously at Estadio Azteca at the end of the of next week or early next week. And my final thing would be baseball. I'm not going to play it, but might as well give it out because I was. But there's weather issues in Chicago. If they can get those, to the point where they're going to win, they're going to run that game. It's obviously the White Sox against the lefty and Zimmerman against Dylan Cease, who I don't respect. I would love the over, but it's harder to hit in rain. So if I can get a weather forecast in my two games, I 1 and 2 today, hit on the Indians. That was my big play of the day, but lost on the Padres and lost on the Marlins, both in heartbreaking fashion because people can't run or field or play baseball at this point. But I would play Orioles, White Sox over.
But Tony Mejia, at least it wasn't the Colorado Rockies playing the New York Mets.
No, I turned that off. It was on TV for a brief period.
Tony Finn,
Yes.
I enjoyed your typing tonight.
Hey, this is a brand new keyboard. Paid a lot of money for the stealth keyboard. You're not supposed to be able to hear me typing.
Well, I mean, some hosts don't like the typing. I find it therapeutic. It just kind of soothes me.
I only did this because and I'm certainly listening. I'm tired of hearing Joe Piscopo bitch about it. So there you go.
Oh, Wager Talk?
Huh?
Oh, I know who you're talking about now. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah.
Joe Piscopo. He thinks he's Joe Piscopo. He thinks he's Joe shit.
Well, I wish he was here to answer that.
Well, I invited him. He didn't listen to me. Quickly for tonight, I'm gonna flash over to a game that, and I'll try to make it less than 10 minutes. So buckle in. And
I can mute him, guys.
and this is the Milwaukee Bucks. They're up 2-0. We talked a little bit about this series in this game earlier. They're up 2-0, a lead over the Miami in the Eastern 2021 NBA playoffs first round series. Tonight makes it 3-0, and that's followed by a 4-0 victory in Miami for what is essentially is a sweep. If game one wasn't enough evidence, or at least to solidify who this Bucks team is compared to who they were in 2019 and 2020, then game two certainly should have been. And that is, and we'll go to what Rob and I have talked about, and Rob's mentioned it many times. The difference in this game isn't Middleton or the man in the middle, Middleton, or the Greek Freak. It's Holiday. The acquisition of Holiday. His size, his quickness, his experience has allowed the Freak and the other Bucks scorers to do what they need to do against Miami. That's just score. What he's able to do to Jimmy Butler made him a non-factor. Continues. Jimmy, listen, first off, this isn't the same Bucks team as the last 2 years where they've been disappointments. And this certainly isn't the team that hit their peak last year and caught two teams, Boston, to get to the finals to face the Lakers, who were not pace and space schemes, which is what Milwaukee does and does best. We saw it with 10 3-point shots in the first quarter. Then they didn't have to go to the paint and score against the Miami team who's been one of their staples is basically defending the rim, preventing points in the paint. In game one, almost 60 points for Milwaukee, a game they shouldn't have won. In game two, they didn't have to score much in the paint. They only scored 46 in game two because they were up by 30 after the first quarter, 20 after the first quarter. To jump to the end of this, listen, first and foremost, this bench, the starting five, the first rotation, only the coaching, the tangible coaching variable here doesn't offer the Bucks an advantage. I'm a big Spoelstra fan. Not that I don't like Coach Bud, but I'm gonna lean Spoelstra almost every single time. There's 5 good reasons. The first reason, Holiday. Holiday's a big advantage. PJ Tucker, Forbes, Bobby Portis, all those contributing factors is something that Miami doesn't have. They don't have it. And the fact that that the Bucks won in game one making 15 less 3-pointers, the largest variable in that container in any playoff game, according to what I was told by, I don't know, ESPN or somebody like that. The growth, maturity of Giannis, much different. If you guys watched the last 2 years, this guy, there was a time when he got mugged and was just laying on the floor laughing. In past years, that would not have been Giannis. He would have been the same as the rest. He would have been playing the old the NBA thug part there and jumped up and act like he was gonna tear somebody's head off. Butler 8 for 32. Bam, 9 for 26. First 2 contests. That's not going to change. It's not going to change. This Miami team is not the team that caught some breaks last year. Were playing great. Got contributions from their secondary pitches, their curveballs and their sliders, and to complement their fastballs, which were Butler and Bam. And this line is stealing money tonight. Milwaukee by double digits tonight. They sweep this series. Take them right now. I don't know what the number is in the future. So having them go 4-0, I think the number's too low for me to push in on. But that's what happens.
Well, I have Milwaukee minus 1.5 right now with a total of 224.5.
I'm up for the 4-0 sweep. How about for the sweep? What kind of numbers? What is the plus money on that? Because it certainly better not be minus money.
I actually don't know where to find that.
Okay, I'll look it up.
Not off the top of my head right now.
I'll get it for you. But that is Milwaukee. It's the Bucks. Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Portland Trailblazers, as I outlined in the angle of the day. And I'm also going to take Giannis under 28.5 points and Booker over 28.5 points as 2 prop bets. So it takes us to Rob Vino.
All right. Well, here's what I won't do. I will not disagree with the man to my right. Joe, I can't find out which direction you're in. I won't. Joe or the guy in the bottom left, Tony Finn. Both of those guys pointed out that they like Milwaukee. I'm not going to argue that, but I'm going to stay inside that game. And I don't play a lot of player props, guys, but I'm going to play Jimmy Butler over the point total here, 23.5. Again, I said this on the NBA tip-off show, and Jimmy Butler is one of those players where he gives you quotes. He's an honest guy. He's a straight shooter. You don't have to read between the lines with Jimmy Butler. What Jimmy had to say about this game 3, which is basically Miami's season, was sometimes we get a little lost in getting everyone else involved. I think at times you've got to just go, myself especially. And to me, that means Jimmy's going to, if the ship's going down, it's going to go down with Jimmy doing his best to keep it afloat. Game 1, he goes 4 of 22 from the field. 4 of 22 is 18%, guys, 18%. And he still scored 17 points in that game going 4 of 22. If he goes 7 of 22, not even 33%, he's going to get over this number if I throw in some free throws. So to me, 23.5 just seemed like a low number. I don't know that Miami can win the game, but I think their star player is going to do everything he has to, or he can possibly do, to get enough shots up. Last game, he went silent, and this happened last year in the playoffs too. 22 shots game 1, 10 shots in game 2. And you wonder why, Jimmy? Why only 10 shots? Well, blowout was part of the reason. But last year, in the playoffs, he did that too on their way to runner-up for the NBA title. Some games, big shot volume. Other games, different things being done. Tonight, I think it's a volume shot night for Jimmy Butler. I need more than 18% to go in, but I think they will. And I'll play over 23.5 Jimmy Butler player prop.
Love it. Absolutely love that bet. Would you play Jimmy Butler over 39.5 points,
No.
rebounds, and assists?
No.
Just curious.
Yeah, to me, and again, I'm not a guy that plays a lot of props. Just the point stuck out in my head, John. I'd have to try and calculate that a little bit, but I think the point total is the way to go with him. I just think he's going to put the ball up, and let's see him go down a little bit at home here.
Nobody's
Hey,
better.
15
Nobody's been better
assists
at drawing
or
fouls.
50 assists
too.
and rebounds.
He hasn't shot his free throws very well in this series either.
I think 7 in the first game, but then not a lot in the second game. And again, the blowout had a lot to do with that. But just reading into his quote, like I say, a lot of players, you have to kind of decipher what they're saying. They toe the company line. They give you a lot of generic talk. But if this guy opens his mouth, you can usually take it to the bank. So I'm going to try and take this to the bank.
And last but not least, the watch.
One more time.
The watch. Thank you, guys. Tony, Finn, great minds think alike. I'm sticking to my guns with Milwaukee tonight. Under a basket, John mentioned that's a solid 1.5. Early, I saw ones around. I like them to still stifle the Miami defense. And Tony did make a great point, that there are other people that are making it doable, that Giannis and Chris Middleton are lighting up the scoreboards. There's a good supporting cast there. They're very unselfish. They have matured as a team this year. They know that this is their year. I mean, if with what happens in this NBA or in any professional sports arena every year, you may not have some of these players here next year. This is their year to at least take that conference. And if they don't, you may not see some of the guys next year. But they will stifle Miami's defense. I don't see Jimmy lighting it up tonight. Jimmy, don't call me buckets anymore. And the fact that in an underdog role, the Heat are just 3-7 their last 10. I'm just going to stay with what's hot. I'm not going to, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. They have Miami's number. I'm going to stay under a basket with Milwaukee. I really do think it's the right side. And I want my dinner if I win, Jimmy. I'm just kidding.
I got you, Jeff.
I know you do. No, I really do think it's the right side. This almost made it to my premium plays, but there was something I felt a lot strongly about. And I don't want to put too many games up on the mic in one night. I'm a less is more guy. John and I have talked about I'd prefer to have one wife like Heidi Klum than 100 that look like Rosie O'Donnell. Less is more to me. I want to either make or lose my money. Tomorrow's another day. Go enjoy my night. Milwaukee tonight under a basket, I really do think is a good play. They have this team's number. They've done it through games 1 and 2. I don't see any change here. And one thing Rob did say, if Jimmy Butler is going to be all out tonight, if he's on the ship and the ship is either going to sail or sink, that means he's going to be shooting a lot of shots. And I'm going to go with the fact that Milwaukee's defense is just stifling, and they're really strangling Miami's offense. So I'm going to stay with the Bucks tonight. I'm very happy with that play. Tony, Finn, me and you, let's ride into the sunset together with the Bucks.
Awesome.
Got it.
Absolutely awesome. So this is the first time we got through a show with 6 professionals, and I'm thrilled to host this. It's great. I just sit here and like a sponge and absorb everything you guys say, and I'm definitely smarter. I may not be the best looking host, but as Joe D'Amico says, I definitely have the best looking guys on the planet on the show. And he forces me to say that. I don't know if it's true or not, but it sounds good. So, I think with all these picks, it almost has to, you got to think it's going to be a profitable night for everybody. But make sure you come back tomorrow, because tomorrow is Friday, and that's when we really get wild. We actually bring beer into our locations, and we kind of cut loose East Coast style, right, Tony Finn?
No, I do that every show. Every show we have alcohol and all legal drugs. We have everything. It's all, those who are listening, legal. We live in Vegas where almost everything is legal.
And then, to repeat what many people don't know, Marco D'Angelo told me to say this whenever appropriate, that
Yeah.
Tony Finn is the only human being he knows how to pass a drug test. And this was related to Baffert and his horse.
We're going to take that as a compliment.
If we ever have any issues like that, we can contact Tony Finn and everything will be just swell.
I've already advised Baffert.
So like I was saying, make sure you come back tomorrow. Seriously, Steve Merrill will be joining us, and a bunch of others will probably have, maybe we'll have 7 or 8. I can take up to 10. So first come, first serve here on this show. So on behalf of Jimmy Adams Vegas, Tony Mejia, Tony Finn.
I like that. Who is that? Who did that? That's a great imitation
outright.
dog.
Those are my dogs barking. Sorry, guys.
That is a good job. That's a good dog call right there.
Hush.
Okay.
He's
For
on
the
Jimmy
Predictive
Butler
PlayBook,
Road.
the sportsmemo.com and
Somebody hushing
wagerprop.com. May all the wins be yours.